Today, I'm going to reveal the 3 strongest signs a woman displays when the spark of desire has already been ignited inside her. But stay with me until the third one, because it's the sign that happens right in front of most men every single day. The surprising part is that very few ever recognize it before the opportunity has already passed. Before we dive into these signs, there's something important you need to understand. If you've overlooked moments like these in the past, it wasn't because you lacked confidence, charm, or social skills. It happened because no one ever taught you how to recognize the language of female attraction. And that language is very different from the way men typically express desire. When a man feels attracted to someone, he's usually direct about it. A woman, however, often expresses attraction in a much more subtle way. Instead of acting immediately, she observes. She creates opportunities. She opens small doors, but she rarely walks through them alone. She waits to see whether you'll recognize the invitation and confidently meet her halfway. Evolutionary psychology offers an interesting explanation for this behavior. For thousands of years, women benefited from being cautious before becoming emotionally or physically involved with someone. It wasn't simply about being selective, it was also connected to safety and long-term survival. Although modern life has changed dramatically, many of these instinctive patterns still exist deep within the subconscious. That's why genuine attraction often isn't loud or obvious. Instead of shouting, it whispers. And these 3 signs are some of the clearest whispers you'll ever notice. Sign number 1, she begins finding reasons to touch you, even when there's no real need. This goes beyond ordinary or accidental contact. Pay close attention to the nature of the touch itself. She doesn't actually need to brush your arm while telling a story. She doesn't have to lightly push your shoulder after laughing at your joke. Yet somehow, she does it anyway. Most of the time, she isn't even consciously aware she's doing it. Neuroscience describes this as initiation through physical contact. When attraction is activated, the brain naturally seeks subtle ways to reduce physical distance from the person creating those emotions. Touch becomes a quiet way of communicating, I feel comfortable being closer to you. In real life, you'll notice something even more revealing. She touches your arm, but instead of immediately pulling away, she lets her hand remain there for just a brief extra moment. That additional second speaks volumes. It's often her body communicating before her words ever do. If you're already finding this information valuable, take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps support the channel and allows me to continue sharing this kind of content completely free. Sign number 2, the way she looks at you begins to change. Almost everyone has heard the phrase, she looks at you differently. But very few people actually understand what that means. When a woman feels genuine attraction, several involuntary changes can appear. Her pupils may become slightly more dilated as her nervous system responds emotionally to the interaction. She may also hold eye contact longer than what would normally feel socially neutral. Then something interesting often happens. When she finally breaks eye contact, she frequently lowers her gaze instead of immediately looking off to the side. Researchers who study nonverbal communication have long associated this downward glance with feelings of openness, receptiveness, and emotional vulnerability. It's not something she practices in front of a mirror. It's simply a natural response. You might notice her looking directly into your eyes, giving a small smile, glancing downward for a brief moment, and then looking back at you again. That sequence repeats itself almost effortlessly. It's as though her body language is quietly saying, I like what I see. Now let's move to the third sign, the one that most men completely miss. She starts creating privacy where there wasn't any before. Here's what this often looks like. You're both in a group surrounded by other people, and somehow she finds a reason for the conversation to become more private. She suggests grabbing a drink together. She asks you to come look at something across the room. She lowers her voice as though she's about to share something personal. These moments are rarely random. From the perspective of relationship psychology, emotional closeness usually develops before physical closeness ever does. Creating a quieter, More private space allows her to see whether you'll naturally step into that shared moment with confidence. In many cases, she's quietly observing whether you'll recognize the invitation. If you do, and you respond with calmness, presence, and genuine confidence, the interaction often continues to develop naturally without either person needing to force anything. Exactly how to recognize these moments and respond appropriately is something I explain in detail inside my complete guide, Secrets of Attraction. There, I show you not only how to identify these subtle signals but also how to respond in a way that makes her feel relaxed, understood, and genuinely drawn to your presence. You'll find the link in the description below. Before you leave, I want you to remember one important idea. You didn't miss these opportunities because you weren't attractive enough. You missed them because no one ever explained the hidden rules behind these interactions. Now you've learned 3 of those rules. And when knowledge is put into practice, everything begins to change. The next time you notice one of these subtle signs, you'll respond with a level of awareness and confidence that most men never develop. That understanding becomes a genuine advantage. Use it wisely. If you don't want to miss the next lesson, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The next video will go even deeper into the psychology behind attraction. I'll see you in the next one.